Hello everybody, Tracy Sizemore here. Day 19, RPG a Day. The question today is, which RPG is the best written, or some derivative of that? Which RPG, has the best writing? I don't know. I don't... Generally, I don't read RPGs in order to be entertained by the writing. So, I read RPGs to get what I need to get ingested so that I can play the game. So, I don't... I mean, that's how I approach RPGs. And I don't know why that is. Maybe I don't know. I mean, I get what I get what I need about the setting. I get what I need about the rules, and if it conveys that information in a way that I understand, then it's a well-written RPG. So that's generally how I approach that. So I don't know. I guess I don't if in as much as that goes, I have an answer in terms of RPGs that I think get the rules across, get the setting across, and do it in a way that doesn't bog you down as a GM, that doesn't tamp down your creativity to create work and adventures within that setting. Because a lot of times fluff can be overdone, and fluff is a bad word, but the setting information, the background of what this game is and where it's, what you do in it, that can be sometimes overwhelming and over-detailed, so that to the point where the GM doesn't exactly know where to fit his own or her own or their own ideas. So I think that RPGs can be overwritten in that way, and the one that I think consistently does a great job of not overwriting that stuff is, you guessed it, Savage Worlds. They keep their plot point campaigns short. They keep their rules books short, and they do a whole lot of stuff in a few pages. But I believe there's a subsequent question coming up that I'll elaborate more about that on. And so in that sense, I think that's a great example of a well-written RPG, in the sense that it gives you enough that you can run with it, but it doesn't give you so much that you feel like you have to do it their way or there's no way. That said, I do have an answer for this question in terms of best writing. Now that I've basically invalidated all the question in terms of how I approach things, the most impressive and the game that made the most impression on me when I read it, or the book that made the biggest impression on me, in terms of, I read it and go and I look and I go, oh man, it's beautiful. That's beautiful. It is not the book that you might expect, and it's not a game that I normally play, and yet friends of mine told me, you really need to get this book, because even if you're not going to play the game, it is really well written, really well done, has really good advice for game masters, independent of whatever system you're running. And that book is the D&D 5e Dungeon Master's Guide. Seems obvious, maybe, but then again it seems on the nose. But the thing is, this book, it's inspiring. So even if you're not going to play D&D, and I like D&D 5e, 5e is okay by me, but this book is, it includes, it's inspirational to me. I mean, it includes, it's the first real, I believe, the first, earnest attempt to include inclusion in D&D, in a fantasy setting, and explain how to be inclusive with high fantasy. That's one thing it does. The other thing is it inspires you to role play. That's what D&D 5e has sort of stepped away from the crunch of earlier editions in favor of doing more of the stuff outside the battles. And the Dungeon Master's Guide sort of gives you direction in how to do that, how to integrate those things into your game. And I think it's super inspirational. I read it and I'm like, what a great way of putting that. What a brilliant way to inspire people to be role players. I think it's really well done. Really well done. It's one of the best books about role playing that I've read. And I have a lot of respect for the authors of that book. And for Wizards of the Coast for producing it. So, that's my answer. I don't know. It's all very, myopic in my own perspective, of course. If I am implying anything negative about anybody else, I don't mean to, because it really, RPGs more than almost anything else are so personal, So anyway, that's my answer. So I will talk to you tomorrow.